You found yourself on another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313. And on today's episode, the Cleveland Cavaliers just made a big statement. They not only took down the Golden State Warriors 118-110. We did not only beat Golden State on the road for the first time in 9 years, we swept the Golden State Warriors in the regular season. I don't think that's been done before. We're going to break this down and we're going to celebrate this accomplishment on today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313. Let's freaking go! And now, ladies and gentlemen, in the place to be, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast to the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Pistons from the D. This is Let 'Em Know Kings in the 3-1-3. What up, what up, what up? Welcome to an episode of Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313 that I am so freaking excited to record. For those of you that don't know, this is your Sacramento Kings, Detroit Pistons, and Cleveland Cavaliers post-game reaction podcast. And I'm your host, Scarlett Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning into today's program. There's one game to recap, and I am really excited to recap this game. Before I do, I would like to remind you all that you can find Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313, which is 100% completely free and available on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Spotify, Pandora, and wherever else you want to listen to this show. Give the show a follow on the platforms. If you can please turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings in a 313 a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. It is a great way to support the podcast, and I appreciate every single one of you that tune in to this program. If you would have told me that in the year of 2023, the Golden State Warriors will get swept in the regular season by the Cleveland Cavaliers, I would have said to you, are you out of your mind? Are you out of your damn mind? Because first and foremost, I am not going to sit here and disrespect the Golden State Warriors. They are a really, really talented team. I'm not going to sit here and disrespect Golden State because you got to respect the fact that Steve Kerr is a hell of a coach. And I mean a hell of a coach. You got to respect the fact that they got Klay Thompson, who is an absolute killer, Kevon Looney, who is a beast in the boards, and you got Steph Curry, which I don't really like. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and say that Steph Curry is the vein of my existence. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. What I am going to say is Steph Curry is one of the greatest players in the NBA in this generation. I'm going to give him my respect. But what I do not respect is Draymond Green. But before I get into him, because I have a lot to say about him, let's take the fact to acknowledge that the Cleveland Cavaliers defeated the Golden State Warriors 118-110 to complete a season sweep of the Cleveland Cavaliers. They beat this same team this past Sunday, 115-104 in Cleveland. A pretty dominant performance by Cleveland for the most part, which again, the second quarter of both of these games played a critical role. If you go back to the 115-104 victory that the Cleveland Cavaliers had against Golden State in Cleveland, they outscored the Golden State Warriors 28-15 in the second quarter of that game. In last night's game, they outscored the Golden State Warriors 38-21. That is a big difference. That is a big difference in this game because if you think about it, you would know that the Golden State Warriors would make their run in the third quarter, and they did. They did when they outscored us 31-16, and I blame JB Bickerstaff for that because sometimes JB Bickerstaff does not read the scouting report. He doesn't know that the Golden State Warriors are a third quarter team. And I was like voice messaging with one of my best friends in the entire world. And I tell her that JB has to know that the Golden State Warriors are a third quarter team. And I said something else. I said something else that I'm not going to say. I said, I'm not even going to say it on this show. What the F does, JB Bickerstaff does not understand? What the bleep does JB Bickerstaff does not understand that? And he didn't. He didn't understand that Golden State is a third quarter team. But what I really, really liked about this performance was Cleveland stayed together. The Cavaliers stayed poised when things turned a little bit feisty. And I gotta tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, it was a feisty game. It was a feisty game because one moment changed the complexion of the entire game. And it was when Draymond Green pushed our guy, Donovan Mitchell, with his shoulder and sent him out of bounds as Cleveland's CAVS LeVert drove in for a layup. Then as Green brought the ball across midcourt moments later, Mitchell chased him down and instigated a heated interaction. Now, I don't blame Donovan Mitchell for his reaction. Not at all. Not at all. If Draymond Green punched me in the shoulder, how the hell am I supposed to react? Right? You cannot blame Donovan Mitchell for his reaction. Honestly, that sparked a fire from the Cleveland Cavaliers, something that I have not seen Cleveland sustain all year. And you know what? Officials went to replay review. That's how they determined Green's infraction, calling Mitchell for a personal foul. So what happened was Draymond Green had one technical early in this game. That second time when Draymond Green made contact with the shoulder of Donovan Mitchell, the officials were like, yeah, that's another technical foul. Draymond Green, you're up on out of here. Now, I will say this. The one thing that I will say about Draymond Green, you cannot deny that he is a passionate player. You cannot deny that he loves the game, he loves his team, and he's passionate. I don't fault him for passion, okay? I don't fault him for being one of the most passionate players in the NBA. I get it, and I understand where he's coming from that perspective. But if you look at the context of Draymond Green's career, if you look at the context of his, let's just say, foolish and childish reactions to every single time the referees call for a technical foul, he's like Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks, to be honest with you. Because all Luka Doncic does is complain to the refs all the damn time. If he gets a call against him, he automatically complains for the refs. If he doesn't get a call, he complains to the refs. I don't understand that, okay? I don't understand how some players in the NBA can, argue with the refs for a call that was rightfully justified. It was rightfully justified, and Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it because of the fact that it was the right call. Kevon Looney said, I don't know that was actually possible, that you could get teched up for a previous play. And that's exactly what happened, Kevon Looney. JB Bickerstaff's reaction to this whole complex situation really surprised me. He said this: it's our guys standing up for themselves and protecting themselves. There was a play before where Donovan was hit in the back, and we've talked about it, that we don't back down from anybody. So I'm proud of our guys for stepping up for themselves, but then again, not letting it turn the tide of the game and getting caught up into something that we didn't need to be caught up in and allowing them to go on a run. That was premeditated to get their team kind of rallied. You felt the building the entire third quarter. I thought it could have been nipped in the bud a little earlier. Now, I will say this. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers weathered a really big storm when the Golden State Warriors went on a run in the third quarter. When I saw that we got outscored 31-16, I was like, here we go. Here we go. Golden State is going to win this game because of the third quarter. But what I am really proud of the Warriors is, or the Cavs, I should say, we outscored the Golden State Warriors. I can't even talk. In the final quarter, 34-27. Now, I will say this. The bench unit for the Cavaliers, y'all are pathetic. Y'all are pathetic, bro. Especially Craig Porter Jr. Craig Porter Jr., I gotta get at you. I gotta get at you, all right? You had one freaking job. You had one freaking job, and that is to ice the game from the foul line. You couldn't make a single damn free throw to save your life. You couldn't. It was that bad that we had to put the starters in for like 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds than what we were supposed to have. Like, we were supposed to rest the starters because they have a big game coming up tomorrow against the Sacramento Kings, which I am really looking forward to, and I really, really hope that De'Aaron Fox comes back for that game. If De'Aaron Fox comes back, oh God, this is going to be a movie. Grab your popcorn, grab your snacks, grab your late night coffee because it is going to be fun. But Craig Porter Jr., I really hope that you do not get in the game, bro. You need to go back to the G League and learn how to make free throws. You really, really do. If you made both free throws a couple of different times, we would have iced this game, no problem. But because of your lack of free throw form, Golden State almost made it interesting. They almost made it interesting in the fourth quarter. And the crazy thing about this is, they had their bench unit too. So Craig Porter Jr., you need to learn and understand what free throws at the end of the game means. Because when the starters were in, they were like, listen, Craig Porter Jr., you better watch and learn. You better take notes or your ass is going to the G League. Because right now, Craig Porter Jr. is not a Cavalier right now. You cannot be a Cavalier if you don't make free throws. Now back to Draymond Green. I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of context for what he's done throughout his career. And the ejections that this man got during his career is absolutely justified. Y'all don't believe me? Think back to I believe it was game 2 of last year's playoffs, Golden State Sacramento, the greatest playoff series of last year's playoffs. No denying that. This man, Draymond Green, had the nerve to stomp on Domantas Sabonis. There's no room in the NBA for that. There's no room for a player to stomp on another player. I get it was personal. I get it was a rivalry between Golden State and Sacramento. No denying that. No denying that. But there is no room in the NBA for thug players acting like thugs. And I'm talking to you too, Dylan Brooks. I'm talking to you too. Even though, and I will say, Dylan Brooks looks absolutely impressive in his season debut with the Houston Rockets. I think the change of scenery has helped Dylan Brooks a lot to this point, but there is a lot of maturity that he needs to learn, and there's a lot of maturity that he needs to go through. As far as Draymond Green goes, you are an absolute bitch. All right? You are a bitch. You are a thug. You are nothing. You're nothing, and you are a nobody. I'm not afraid to say it, but that's the truth. Draymond Green does not deserve to be in the NBA if he wants to act like a thug. If you want to act like a thug, go play basketball somewhere else, Draymond Green, because the Golden State Warriors are better without you than with you. I get that you're a passionate player. I get that you prioritize your career on defense. No denying that. But there is no room in the NBA for your thug, childish, immature reactions, especially with arguing the refs and hurting other players. Like, it's one thing that you stumped Domantas Sabonis and you got suspended. for, I believe it was one game in the playoffs, or actually two, I don't remember. But you should be absolutely suspended for pushing Donovan Mitchell. You should be suspended for hurting other players. There's no room for that in the NBA. None. So Draymond Green, you got to learn maturity. Dylan Brooks, for the most part, has learned it. Yes, he's got a long way to go, but I can honestly say that Dylan Brooks is a more mature player than Draymond Green ever is. Get out of the league, Draymond. You don't belong. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't belong. You hurt other players. Your reputation is pathetic. And there's no room in the league for thugs like you. Anyway, the stats for this game, 43% for the field for Cleveland compared to 41% for the Golden State Warriors. 36% from three-point range for Cleveland, 34% for Golden State. The free throw percentage was pretty even. The rebounds, 55-45 in favor of Golden State. 15 offensive rebounds was a really big difference there. The steals were 13-5 in favor of Cleveland. And the turnovers of this game, 20-11. But guess what? Guess what was really telling? The points off turnovers. The Cavaliers outscored the Warriors 32-8 points off turnovers. If you can hold a team of that many turnovers and score that many points off their turnovers, and that is a good Golden State team. I gotta give them credit. That is a good team. But if you can score that many points off their turnovers, that's a big moment. That is a big moment that the Cleveland Cavaliers understood. For the most part, I think Cleveland, at some points in the third quarter, did not understand the moment. But in the fourth quarter, they found their resolve. And by the way, Curry has gone 10 straight games with 4 or more three-pointers to start the season. The first time that it's been done in NBA history. And Curry, who scored 17 points in the first half, also became the 35th player in NBA history to reach 22,000 points. But I need to mention this. For the first time since March 14th of 2014, nearly 9 years ago, the Cleveland Cavaliers defeated the Golden State Warriors on the road. In one of the most balanced performances from the Cleveland Cavaliers all season. And not only that, for the first time since 2008, 2009, the Cleveland Cavaliers secured a season sweep of the Golden State Warriors. A series sweep for the Cleveland Cavaliers for the first time in nearly 25 years. For the first time in 25 years, the Cleveland Cavaliers have season swept the Golden State Warriors. I know this is early in the season. You deserve a little bit of celebration, Cleveland. You earned it. You deserved it. But you got to carry this momentum to Sacramento because I got to tell you, Sacramento's offense is a little to be desired right now. The offense still has a lot to figure out. This is going to be a defensive game. The offensive edge I got to give to Cleveland. The defensive edge I got to give to Sacramento. So it is going to be a very interesting matchup between two young and upcoming teams. Or actually, I should say, two playoff teams from last year. But we need De'Aaron Fox back if you're Sacramento. De'Aaron Fox, I don't care how much ice that you have on your ankle, all right? I need your ankle iced up for this game because if you suit up, Donovan Mitchell versus De'Aaron Fox is going to be a fun matchup to watch. I cannot wait for that. Karis LeVert was the only guy on the bench that was productive. 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals. And Dean Wade had 8 points and 7 rebounds. And he got the junkyard dog chain by JB Bickerstaff. Wrong call, JB. Give it to Caris LeVert because he was a literal spark plug. I hate to go against you, JB, but I gotta give my version of the player of the game to Caris LeVert. Donovan Mitchell, he got the better of Draymond Green with 21 points. 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Evan Mobley stepped up, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. Jared Allen, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and Strus, he was big. He was big, especially late, with 16 points, with 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. As far as the Golden State Warriors, you know what Steph Curry does. 30 points with 3 rebounds and 2 assists. You cannot guard him. Klay Thompson finished with 14 points and 5 rebounds. Draymond Green only finished with 8 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and he got 2 big technical fouls. Jonathan Kuminga off the bench did really good with 12 points. Kevon Looney only had 2 points, but he also had 13 big rebounds. Andrew Wiggins with 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. But again, this is a moment that the Cleveland Cavaliers deserve to celebrate. It's early in the season. You got to lock in and focus on Sacramento tomorrow, but you have every single right to celebrate the fact that for the first time in 25 years, your Cleveland Cavaliers have swept in the regular season the Golden State Warriors, and that could go a long way down the road come playoff time. But we got a long way to go before we even think about that. But congratulations, Cleveland. You have defeated the giant, which is Golden State. You've exercised to some extent the demons of last season where the Golden State Warriors swept you. You got your comeuppance this year, and you swept Steph Curry, you swept Steve Kerr, and you swept the Golden State Warriors. That deserves some celebration if you are a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings in the 313. You can find this show on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Pandora, Spotify, and wherever else you want to listen to this show. Give the show a follow on those platforms. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings of the 313 a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this show on. I am your host, Skylar Weisberg. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you right back here for another episode of Let 'Em Know Kings in the 313.